Morning, everyone. Great to see you all. It is actually 9 a.m. I will call this Regional Transportation Commission meeting to order on Friday, February 20th, 2026. We're going to start with the roll call. Madam Clerk.
Good morning.
morning.
Sajid Solaria,
Here.
Ed Lawson,
Here.
Devin Reese,
Here.
Alexis Hill,
Here.
Bill Thomas,
Here.
Maya Luz Garcia,
Here.
Hillary Sheevy. She was going to call in.
Okay.
She may call in later.
Thank you.
Adam Spear.
Here.
Oh, thank you. We have a quorum.
Thank you so much. We'll now move into the Pledge of Allegiance. And if our Vice Chair could lead us, please.
Please join me in a salute to our flag. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. We'll now move into our special recognitions. And the first is our winning bus art design, Bus on Site. And who am I calling up for this? Okay, welcome.
Yay, safe routes.
Good morning. I'm Jennifer Iveson, coordinator for Safe Routes to School, and this is our middle school winner, Evie Cardinal.
Hi. Please tell us more about your design and congratulations.
Thank you. It was really fun to participate in this art competition, and I really enjoyed it.
Oh, good. And what inspired your design?
I don't know. I just
No pressure, no pressure. I think we're gonna go out and take a picture after the meeting. Hopefully you can stay around, or should we take a break now? What do you think?
Yeah, let's take a break now.
Okay, let's do a quick picture, and congratulations, and thank you so much for coordinating this, and really looking forward to seeing it in person. So thank you. We'll take a quick break and take a picture.
Tell me what, before
Yes,
we do
go
that,
ahead.
tell me again your name, because I was having a trouble hearing it in the mic.
Eveline Cardinal,
Okay, and thank you. Tell us where you go to school.
DePoli Middle School.
Fabulous. Okay, and so what grade are you in, DePaul?
I'm in 7th grade.
Okay, so a little more time. Where are you going to go to high school?
Damani Ranch.
And will you compete again in this same competition as you get through the process?
Yes, probably.
Oh, good. Well, I'm excited to see it. I actually took a sneak peek at it and took a picture, but I can't wait to see outside. Thank you and congratulations.
Yes, thank you. Congratulations. All right, we'll take a quick break. I'm going to bring the meeting back to order and we'll move to 132 APWA 2025 POTY Awards.
And Chair Hill, I wanted to note that Mayor Sheevy is now on the line.
Oh, welcome, Mayor Sheevy. That's great to know. Thank you. Who am I throwing that to?
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi, for the record, Mike Wilhelm with APWA.
Wonderful. Great.
Good morning. I'm happy to be here on behalf of APWA to present the RTC with 2 Project of the Year awards. These Project of the Year awards were selected and awarded at our fall conference at Lake Tahoe last October. The first project is the South Virginia Street and I-580 Exit 29 Safety and Capacity Project, the In-N-Out Burger Project. And the second project is the North Virginia Street University Rehabilitation Project.
Fabulous. And if you could give us a little bit of background why we received the award.
Yes, of course. Both of these projects are transportation projects. The first one is in the $5 million to $10 million category, and the second one is in the under $5 million category. Each year for APWA, the consultants and the agencies put together applications for the projects, and they're collectively evaluated and scored, and then the winners are announced at the night of the banquet. RTC has historically won these Project of the Year awards because they always are doing big projects, good projects, enhancing the infrastructure in the community. So it's great to be here to be able to present these to the RTC again.
Thank you so much. And Director Thomas, are the staff here who did these projects by any chance? Okay, well, should we take get a picture, please? We're gonna take we'll take another break. We're gonna do another picture. What a great way to start a Friday. We're going to now go to 133, which is the new Keolis General Manager. Welcome. Yes.
Members of the board, good morning. My name is Jim Gee. I'm the Director of Public Transit here at RTC, and I have the privilege and pleasure to introduce the person on my left, Mr. Taquan Jackson. Taquan has been with Keolis since 2020, serving as the operations manager. Before that was with LA Metro in a very similar role. And with the sudden retirement of Don Swain, we are very thankful to have someone of Taquan's caliber able to jump in and assume the role. I'd like to have Taquan make a few words.
I just want to add that I'm very excited for the new beginnings. And since day one, RTC has been nothing but stellar and supportive to Keolis. And the dividends show we came a long way. We had a rough start. However, we were able to just refine the processes and work together, collaborate, and do some real great things. So I'm very excited to continue to be a pillar of the community and serve the community and just do wonderful things. So thank you all. Appreciate it.
Wonderful. Well, welcome, Mr. Jackson. You've been at Keolis in Washoe as operations director
That's correct.
before this.
Yes.
That's great. Well, we're so excited to get to know you more, and thank you for your commitment to consistently improving and supporting our transportation system and the employees as well.
Yes. Thank you all. I'm excited. Appreciate it.
Yes, we are too. Any other board comments on this? Okay. Thank you so much. Nice to meet you. We'll see you at future meetings.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now move into our public comment. Madam Clerk, could you help me with this?
Yes. First public comment is Heidi Soper.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Heidi Soper, chairperson of the Sun Valley Citizens Advisory Board, but I'm not here representing the CAB. I'm here as a 38-year citizen of Sun Valley. State Route 433, Sun Valley Boulevard, between Scottsdale and 7th Street in Sun Valley is a nightmare, and we are in desperate need for NDOT to contribute a portion of their flex funds and join with RTC and their funds and various taxes and grants to make the improvements needed. We need the roadways improved as well as improvements in multi-use paths, drainage, and transit. I understand RTC and Commissioner Garcia will be going to Washington, D.C. to advocate for the build grant to add in these improvements. Having NDOT transfer this part of the project when completed to Washoe County would be a major benefit to Sun Valley. There are too many jurisdictions involved in this patch of highway. Sun Valley has a population of over 22,000 people and is growing all the time. Chocolate Drive LLC will be building 240 apartments, and zoning between 1st and 2nd Streets has been changed, allowing for another 200 plus apartments, meaning these two projects alone, we will have approximately 950 plus more cars going down Sun Valley Boulevard, causing even more congestion and accidents. Fatal accidents seem to be increasing on the boulevard. We desperately need improvements and change. There is no safe place to walk or bike along the boulevard, and drainage is a major problem. Parts of the boulevard flood at the drop of a hat, and it's a free undercarriage car wash. The RTC route in Sun Valley is the second busiest in the county. I know that Washoe County as a whole needs a lot of improvements, but we, Sun Valley, are the forgotten area of Washoe County in more ways than one, and really need the help of both NDOT, RTC, and anyone else who wants to drop in. I hope that you will support agenda item 6.2, as this supports the needs of over 22,000 people in Sun Valley and Washoe County. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Steve Burley.
Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the Commission, Steve Burley. When I was here last month, I mentioned that I worked for, the RTC for 12 years as Director of Administration. Prior to that, I worked 22 years in the private sector, companies like Sony, and did international consulting. Prior to that, I was a street cop in LA. Worked in South Central LA for most of it, and I worked traffic. So today I want to talk about the context of something you're all very familiar with, which is cut-through traffic. One of the areas I've been lucky is that every organization, including the RTC, has funded advanced education. I never could have afforded to go to USC grad school, but I did it on loans. And then Sony paid for Anderson School at UCLA, and then the RTC, a Master Black Belt, Green Belt, Black Belt, Master Black Belt in Lean Six Sigma. And one of the things I learned is the 3 C's of organizational decision making. Most organizations decide based on concept and content and not context. Luckily, this board hears context all the time, both in public comment and in writing. Screenshot number 1 shows the route that cut-through traffic takes going up La Certa, a 20-mile-an-hour street from Vista, and then going north, and you see the yellow pin dots on Desert Vista. Next slide, please, Michelle. The blow-up here shows Desert Vista. Things to remember when I return in the second portion of public comment is that Desert Vista does not have a sidewalk on the east side. All of the mailboxes are on the east side. So residents walk in the street to get their mail. Also, this is a school bus route. There are pedestrians, children, cyclists, parents with strollers, and driveways up and down Desert Vista. One of the concerns I have, if you look at the top, you see La Posada. And it's not, I didn't see it in the RTC documents, but La Posada has a 400-foot gain going from Pyramid up to the top of the mountain. This will be a cut-through route for trucks, semi-trucks, and other vehicles that'll put out a lot of noise and pollution. Also going down hills, the trucks will use their exhaust brakes. God bless you. Will use their exhaust brakes, which also put out extra noise and pollution. This board has the advantage of hearing from citizens, residents of the Highlands community who are united against the project out of fear, and it's very contextual for them. They fear the traffic, they fear safety, and they fear the noise and property value loss. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the second portion.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is Fred Krueger.
Good morning to the board. Again, my name is Mr. Fred Krueger. I've had 32 years of federal government experience, with the last portion of that experience being the supervision of a engineering group, 30 members of engineers. So I have some context of their thinking and whatnot. I'd also like to note to the board the difficult job that you folks have with the amount of traffic and things we're dealing with, like Sun Valley and Vista and Pyramid and all of that. I am opposed to the Northeast Connector, especially at the alternative from the end of La Posada wrapping around to Vista. Our HOA, Highlands at Cimarron, and the other neighborhoods adjacent to La Posada would be majorly impacted if this goes forward. The major impact is that to the quality of life that we have. The city of Sparks approved that development, that we have our development, Highlands at Cimarron, and we have wide lots, wide streets. The quality of life is very high. With the proposal, if it goes forward, would have an impact to that quality. Next is that the importance of communication going forward. You folks started the by Northeast Connector back in February of 25. Moving up to December of 25, you announced it with no communications to that, forward. We need to know the whole picture prior to any decisions. It's not that you're just going to build a connector, any connector, I don't care what it is, going through to USA Parkway without knowing the whole picture. Our residents are very afraid, and no decisions by a public agency should be made that makes citizens afraid. And I've talked to a lot of the neighbors, they're scared. That just shouldn't happen. We need to know the whole picture, and their concern or their fear is that areas east of La Posada and east of Vista will become what it looks like at USA Parkway, which is just plowed over with development on top of development. At the December 17th meeting, it was noted all the modeling that was gone into this Northeast Connector. And I would note that the modeling is flawed. And I use the example of Pyramid from McCarran going north on Pyramid. Excellent work by the RTC in the city of Reno that did 3 lanes each way, up till Walmart roughly. Then it's choked down to 2 lanes. And it just doesn't make sense. And now to redo that would be extensive because of the work that's been put in north of Walmart. We need more communications on these issues before it goes forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next up we have Dora Martinez.
Good morning. This is Dora Martinez. Good morning, board and members. So I took pictures with my meta glasses and I emailed them to be part of your packet. I hope it's not blurry. Blind photographer trying to be. But it raises concerns with our new RTC Access buses, the 2500 series, where the ticket screen is on the stop it. Is on the mirror, on the windshield. So I believe it obscures the driver's way of make sure that they're clear to turn or go. And I would humbly ask that they relocate those ticket machines. Also, the lift doors on the 2500 bus that the RTC purchased for RTC Access, the wheelchair lift, the door is lower. So if a person uses a walker and get in and stand up, they can hit their head if they're not careful. So just be mindful of those. I also want to just to let Ms. Petra know that sometimes I hear in the bus, I'm sitting and my driver would call in to ask a question and they are sitting there waiting for an answer and they don't get helped from the dispatcher. And I think the lady by the name of Sarah is the one that doesn't answer their drivers. And it's been kind of known that sometimes she ignores others, but answer promptly to other drivers that she favorites. So just be mindful that, sometimes driver calls in because they do carry people with disabilities and it could be urgent. And one of my concern, I'm trying to go really fast here because I can't see the clock, is the top move with RTC survey, the top survey. One of the questions concerns me on there because it's asking the public if the door-to-door service should, is it adequate or should it be stopped? What are our thoughts about it pertaining to RTC Access? RTC Access drivers walk us, the disabled folks, to the door. And outside right now, it's slippery. And if that service stops, people with disability are going to fall. And I think that's not fair that you guys, that whoever put it there is not, if you guys are going to ask that question, the survey should be available to all RTC clients because we're the one, that's our service. We're the one that our voice needs to be heard, Madam Chair. So I hope that the RTC Access people have a way to get that survey to people with disability who uses that service. You take that away and we're going to be homebound. Sometimes I can't see, well, I can't blind, but sometimes it's a new area and I need that door-to-door service to know where I'm going because my dog can't read. He doesn't know, but he will bring me to the door, but I still need that human touch to bring me to the door.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, go on. You can wrap it up here.
Just hope that the shopper's route with the RTIP or whatever survey that they're doing can come back to people with disability because sometimes we go home and we found out that we have no more something we got to rent to the store, and so we need that. And I think my husband has something to say, but he wasn't here to
sign
put
in.
down his name. Yeah.
Okay.
Here you go.
That's fine. We'll start. Yeah.
Good morning. My name is Juan Martinez, and I just want to add on to what Dora was talking about, the curb. They want to change that. There's the kids that ride the bus, the RTC Access bus. When they go to the workshop, sometimes that workshop building is closed, and we got to wait until they open the building. We can't just leave those kids there. How's that going to be when they're out there alone and, the bus driver just takes off? That's not safe. And also, too, when, like Dora was saying, that us blind folks, when we get dropped off to a new locations that we've never been to, how are we going to find the door? We do need those access drivers to escort us safely to the new locations and doors. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Martinez. Madam Clerk.
Okay. I just wanted to note we received 5 public comments via email, which were sent to the board last night and will be included in the meeting minutes.
Thank you so much. Okay. We are now going to move into approval of the agenda. Are there any changes? Okay.
To approve.
Thank you. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any questions on that from the board? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. And that motion passes unanimously. Thank you. We'll now move on to our consent items. Any changes to consent? Anyone want to pull anything? Not seeing any of that.
Move
All right.
to approve as-
Thank you. And thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. And that motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We'll now move into our public hearing portion of the meeting. We'll open this public hearing to conduct a public hearing regarding approval of amendment number 2 to the FY 25 to 29 Regional Transportation Improvement Program, the RTIP, adopt a resolution approving amendment number 2 to the 25-29 Regional Transportation Improvement Program, RTIP, and we'll have a staff presentation. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, members of the board. Graham Dollarhide, Transportation Planning Manager for the record. As mentioned, I'll be providing an update on the proposed amendment number 2 to the federal fiscal year 2025 to 2029 Regional Transportation Improvement Program, or RTIP. So before I get into the specific details on the projects included in the proposed amendment, I'll just provide some quick background on what the RTIP is and the process involved in carrying it out. So the RTIP is a federally required document that represents a prioritized program of scheduled and fiscally constrained transportation improvement projects that are designed to achieve the area's goals and objectives established in the long-range plan, the Regional Transportation Plan, or RTP. And it includes all federally funded transportation projects and all regionally significant transportation projects, regardless of funding source, that are carried out by any agency within the Metropolitan Planning Organization boundary. So this graphic just provides a quick overview. It summarizes the project flow from that long-range outlook in the RTP through the short-range programming in the RTIP prior to reaching the agreement and implementation phases. So one thing to note about the differences between the RTP and RTIP phases, while projects are fiscally constrained within the RTP, no specific funding sources are assigned to a project until they reach the RTIP phase. Another thing to note about the importance of the RTIP is that projects cannot advance into the agreement and implementation phases until they have been programmed in the RTIP. So the The proposed amendment today, it represents the second amendment to the federal fiscal year 2025 to 2029 RTIP, which was originally adopted in August of 2025. And an air quality conformity analysis is not required in this case, as the projects included in the proposed amendment are either exempt from these requirements or have do not involve the addition of capacity beyond those already modeled. And then also in conformance with federal guidelines and the RTC's public participation plan, no associated amendment is required for the RTP. So now I'll dive into the specific changes to the projects included in this proposed amendment. So the changes to the I-80 Washoe westbound Patrick Waltham project is essentially just a increase to the total project cost. And this increase is due to the need for special embankment material, additional hydraulic and structural needs, increased pavement material quantities, and an increase on unit costs on most of the items associated with the project. The Revving Up Reliability hybrid bus replacement for Reno's aging fleet project. This is an RTC-led project. It is a new project to the RTIP that would essentially facilitate the award of a federal discretionary grant through the Low-No program. So this would allow RTC to purchase 19 diesel hybrid buses to replace older buses in the fleet and incorporate that about $21.5 million federal discretionary award. And finally, the Transit Security Equipment project. This is also a new project to the RTIP. This would allow for the purchase of cameras and other security equipment for buses and facilities. Previously, these types of purchases or activities were housed under other existing projects in the RTIP. We felt that this would be appropriate to add this as its own standalone project in the RTIP, just to kind of better align with the FTA's award management system. So the before this proposed action becomes finalized and active, it does require approvals from the RTC board, state, and federal levels. There was a public comment period that was open from January 28th to February 17th, and no comments were received. And however, the proposed amendment was also presented to the RTC's advisory committees, the TAC and CMAC, and a summary of those comments and feedback are provided in the agenda packet. And today's action also includes a public hearing. So with that, I will take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dollarhide. Do any board members have comments or questions? Okay. And if folks online, I hope I'm not leaving you out. If you have anything, just speak up. But if there's no questions or comments, I'm looking for a motion from the board.
Madam Chair, I'll move to accept amendment number 2 to the fiscal year 2025-2029 Regional Transportation Improvement Program.
Thank you very much.
Second.
Thank you. And Madam Clerk, this is a public hearing. Is there any public comment?
No public comment.
Thank you so much. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. And that motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, we will now move into item 6.1. This is to receive a presentation on the status of the Meadowood, Hidden Valley, Sun Valley, Panther Valley Neighborhood Network Plan. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, board members. My name is Marquise Williams, Senior Transportation Planner for the record, and I'm here to give an update on the neighborhood planning process, neighborhood network planning process. As you may know, we're currently working on the Sun Valley, Panther Valley plan and the Meadowood Hidden Valley plan. Bear with me, it's a bit of a mouthful. And we also have two, the Central Reno and Central Sparks neighborhood network plans in design. So I'll start with a little background on the process and how we got to where we are today. In September of 2024, this board approved the Active Transportation Plan, which had an overall goal of increasing walking and biking within Washoe County. We broke that into 4 goals: improve safety, expand mode share, maintain the system sustainably, and enhance the community. It was that plan that led to the Active Transportation Program development, which is where neighborhood network planning is housed. We also got metrics to inform our investment. We want to make sure that everything that we do is kind of rooted in data. So we have the gap analysis, the bike level of traffic stress, the pet experience index, and like I said, that's to make sure that what we're doing kind of can be shown on a map to say these are areas of need that we're investing in. We have a dedicated funding source, so that's $5 million per year, and that's for the design and implementation of these neighborhood network plans. And we also have an Active Transportation Technical Advisory Committee, we call it the ATTAC, and that's comprised of local stakeholders from each of the jurisdictions, as well as Washoe County School District and Northern Nevada Public Health. And that's tasked to just make sure that what we're doing is in line with what the rest of the region is doing in terms of active transportation improvements. So neighborhood network planning specifically, the concept of neighborhood planning was that folks, when they're typically taking a trip on foot or by bike, it's within a neighborhood, it's within their community. So it's not a regional level trip, it's more of a neighborhood level trip. So from home to school or to the grocery store. And we wanted to make sure that our investments reflected the nature of those trips. So to do that, we broke the region into 12 neighborhoods. And we really wanted to increase comfort and safety within each of those neighborhoods and focus on creating a complete network. So instead of focusing on maybe one corridor or 1 or 2 corridors, we want a complete network so that folks can get from point A to point B on a continuous network. So from there, we get the neighborhood network plans. The recommendations in those plans are typically broken into 2 categories: the short-term quick build projects, which I'll focus on today, and then there's also the long-term projects for RTP consideration. So these are higher dollar value, larger scale projects that we would consider in our regional transportation plan. So a big theme in these plans is data-driven approach. So with that in mind, we do have a performance tracking system or mechanism. We take before counts and after counts just to make sure that we're hitting the marks. We're increasing utilization, speeds are slowing, and that we're really hitting those performance metrics that we seek to improve. So here's some examples of the quick build short-term projects. This slide has been updated maybe since the last time you've seen it to now include 2 Reno examples. So that's kind of exciting. In the top left and top middle, these are 2 improvements aimed at reducing pedestrian time within the active roadway. So in the top left, you have a curb extension in the city of Reno. And then in the middle, you have a pedestrian median island. In the top right, you have an example of a chicane. So this is where you take a straight road and you put an artificial bend in it, which works to slow down traffic. In the bottom left, this is also in City of Reno. This is an example of a buffered bike lane. So there is separation between the road and the bike lane without the vertical barriers. So what that allows you to do is you can retain the street parking, but you do kind of sacrifice some of that comfort. In the bottom middle and then the bottom right, you have that vertical protection, that extra layer, which increases comfort. That's our protected bike lanes. So in the bottom middle, you have posts, and in the bottom right, you have armadillos. So neighborhood network planning process, we are now wrapping up the first stage, which is the existing conditions phase. That's where we have an extensive public outreach process. We talk with our project-specific steering committee, our data metrics map. We actually have a map with 30 or so metrics that we use to analyze the neighborhood through different lenses. And then we do a field review. So we get out in the field and we actually see these sites that we're aiming to improve and feel what it's like to be on the ground. So after the existing conditions wraps up, we take those conclusions and we take what we've learned and we move to an alternatives development phase. This is very conceptual. We develop those potential concepts and we take it to our neighborhood steering committee. So again, we really want to make sure that what we're doing is in line with what the cities and jurisdictions can maintain and what their aligns with their visions for the neighborhoods. Once we go back and forth with those conceptual designs and we get good comments from the city or from the jurisdictions, we can move into final concept recommendations, and that's the plan development. So it's, again, a collaborative effort. We continue the collaboration and we come out with those recommendations, both the short term and the long term. So I'll talk a little bit about the outreach that we've done thus far. Like I said, we're wrapping up that existing conditions public outreach process. In Sun Valley, Panther Valley, well, in both neighborhoods, we spoke with the Citizens Advisory Boards, so the Sun Valley CAB. We also went to the local schools. So we, I guess at North Valley's High School, we talked to the Student Voice Committee. So that's their, I think it was mostly seniors that are really involved with just improving campus for generations of students after them. So they had really good insights on how circulation around the school and walkability around the school can be improved. We had we actually attended a basketball game at Hug High School. So we were between the entrance and the ticket booth, so everybody had to go through us. We handed out maybe 75 flyers at that event, directing people to take our survey, and we were also able to get a lot of verbal in-person comments at that event. And we also had a great conversation with the principal and admin team at Sun Valley Elementary School. There's a lot of pedestrian activity, a lot of students walking to school, a lot of parents walking to school in that area. So we really wanted to make sure that we acknowledge those comments and work to improve those conditions there. In the Meadowood Hidden Valley area, we spoke to the South Valley's CAB. We also had a pop-up event at the Mira Loma Shopping Center. So lots of foot traffic there, a lot of bike traffic there. That's at the corner of Mira Loma and McCarran, so a really major intersection in the region. We had a public meeting at the Truckee Meadows Community College Meadowood campus and got really good insight from homeowners and residents in that neighborhood as well. Additionally, we always have a virtual presence, so we had an online comment map and a survey. And here is a representation of that online comment map. So on the left, you have the Sun Valley, Panther Valley comments, and on the right, you have the Meadowood Hidden Valley comments. You can see that there's clusters of comments on the left in that central Sun Valley area, as well as up by North Valley's High School and down on Dandini. And then really in the Meadowood Hidden Valley, there's comments really throughout the neighborhood. You have some up north in Hidden Valley, several in that Mira Loma, McCarran area, and then a lot down by the mall and along Virginia Street. So, this is part of our existing conditions analysis, and we're going to work now to develop these comments and convert them into recommendations. And lastly, I'll just touch on the steering committee. We did have a meeting with them here at RTC an in-person meeting for each neighborhood. Both of those were on November 6th. Meadowood was in the morning, or Sun Valley was in the morning and Meadowood was in the afternoon. And we had great conversations and participation from the school district. Truckee Meadows Community College was really a interested partner and, among the others. So a little bit about what we've heard thus far. Really a big focus on school zones and improving crosswalk visibility and safety and comfort around schools. We also heard that increasing bike lanes and bike connectivity neighborhood-wide is a key issue. People don't like being stranded as they're riding, and if a bike lane ends, it's a little scary. Adding lighting, lighting increases safety. A lot of these neighborhoods are up against the mountains, and so they get quite dark at night. And so increasing lighting where we can. And then creating safe and intuitive access to trails and open space. Like I said, these are valleys, and they border the hills, and there's a lot of recreational trails. And so creating good intuitive pathways to those spaces was a common thread in both neighborhoods. So moving into implementation, like I mentioned, we're currently in design. I think we're at the 30% design of the Central Reno and Central Sparks plans, and we're quickly moving in that direction with these two Meadowood and Sun Valley plans. Each year, we dedicate $5 million annually to the design and implementation, and we look to split that between two neighborhoods, so that adds up to about $2.5 million per year per neighborhood, or I should say $2.5 million per neighborhood. Central Reno and Central Sparks are in design, and the implementation timeframe is 2027 or 2028 for these Sun Valley, Panther Valley, and Meadowood Hidden Valley plans. So next steps, we did close the public outreach process on February 8th. It was open for about 3 months. Got a lot of good responses, about 100 in-person responses and 100 virtual responses. We are now in that coordination alternatives development phase, so that'll last until about June, where we'll look to prepare the final draft plan and bring it to this board for presentation. We'll have a public comment process in July and August, and then come back to the board for potential approval in August. And like I mentioned, we'll look for implementation in 2027 or 2028. So happy to take any questions.
Well, Mr. Williams, what an impressive outreach work that you did. I mean, going to a basketball game, that's brilliant.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, meeting people where they're at, because honestly, people are too busy to really engage in this way, but they care about the safety of their neighborhoods. So I'm so impressed. I'll start with the vice chair, and then I'll go to Commissioner Garcia, and then we'll go online. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Mr. Williams, first of all, thank you and good morning. I don't know that we've had the privilege of meeting before, but I thought the presentation was outstanding and the board materials excellent. I have some questions, and I just want to work through the slides in the order that you presented them. That may help to organize my thoughts, which are a little bit all over the place. On the first one, which is the neighborhood network planning slide, you've identified the 12 neighborhoods that are make up the region. And I wonder if one of the things that might be helpful to us as a board is if we could see those imposed upon both a City of Reno and City of Sparks ward map and the Washoe County district map. The reason why I think it is relevant or important is because at this body, we do a very good job, I think, of trying to be equal in terms of how we approach the allocation of dollars across our community. And so I want to be able to see that in the planning process extended that way. I don't always, the maps can be kind of small and granular, so I don't always know. I kind of at this body think of us as one region, but it may help us just for planning purposes. So if you wouldn't mind thinking about that, and maybe it's just something you can provide to us offline, I think it would be helpful to us at the dais.
Absolutely.
On this quick build examples slide, two things. One is I absolutely love this presentation. These are the kind of things which really speak to what our residents ask us about as board members. Oftentimes they come to us with their very specific ask about a very specific street, the street they live on. You heard Mr. Burley, I think, this morning talk about cut-throughs in a northern part of Sparks. And so I'm interested to know how these quick build examples might address this particular public comment. And maybe I'll give you a second to say that. I'll also say to Mr. Burley, who may not recall this, but as a very young lawyer, I had the privilege of working with Mr. Burley when he was here at RTC. I was outside counsel for the RTC, and it's been probably 20 plus years. But I remember Steve from my time working with RTC, and it was always a privilege and joy to work with him. Someone who knows this organization intimately, but also knows of what he speaks. So when he does speak, he speaks with that kind of authority. Is there something that is on this slide that might be useful in addressing Mr. Burley's complaint? I understand that this presentation is about two specific regions where we are undertaking this activity, but this quick build example really spoke to me about one of the public comments today.
Absolutely, yeah. So I guess I'll start with, we have 12 neighborhoods within the region. We're looking to complete 2 neighborhood network plans per year. And so Spanish Springs, we will get there in the near, for
A
government.
little
the
newer
near
than some
future.
of the other ones, for sure.
Sure. You know, one example here on this slide is in the top right, the chicane. That's definitely a way to slow down traffic overall and just create that that curve and that natural traffic calming that helps people to slow down. And that can be done, you know, with paint and armadillos and any kind of barrier treatment. So there are definitely low-cost options that we can explore as part of that neighborhood network plan. And, you know, we also have a typology guide that talks, that was part of our active transportation plan. We have a typology guide that talks about these different quick build methods that cities can use if action needs to be taken sooner, I guess.
Well, and I'll sort of say thank you to the RTC staff. Every time I've come with a similar kind of request, they have found a quick build option. They have found planning processes. We are not traffic engineers, right? We do a lot of things, but we can't share the same intellectual capacity that you have for it. So it's very helpful. Let me just try to get through my last 2 questions very quickly. On the outreach slide for the Sun Valley, Panther Valley, I'm going to leave most of the important comments to Commissioner Garcia. But I wanted to say Ms. Silver was here today, right, from the Sun Valley Cab. And I hope that she, I think, raises a very important point, something that Ms. Garcia is working on almost daily. It's not a day goes by that I don't hear from her about some aspect of it. But I do think that that outreach is also perhaps why you have some more people here today to talk about it. So kudos to you. And then my last, oh, no, that was my last question. Thank you so much, Mr. Williams. Outstanding presentation.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Commissioner Garcia.
Thank you so much. I'm going to follow his lead by going slide by slide. So on the background slide, I just thought it was cool. In terms of acronyms, ATTACK has got to be the meanest, most intense acronym ever. So good job, Active Transportation Technical Advisory Committee. But jokes aside, on the quick build examples, I was trying to look at the photo on the top left. Is that if that's the GSR, just to orient myself, what intersection is the curb extension located at?
I believe that's Yori and Roberts.
Yori and Roberts. Okay, I'm gonna cruise by and go check that out. And who did the mural on that?
I know it was a City of Reno-led effort, and there were local artists that were chosen for the murals.
That's great.
So yeah, it's really nice in person.
I look forward to seeing it in person. And then on the what we heard slide. So the first bullet, improve crosswalk visibility in school zones. So this is a phone call I often get from constituents because, you know, before I was elected and before I sat on this body, a development was approved. A school district was brought into the conversation. They determined whether or not to implement school zones or crosswalks. In many cases, it wasn't added to the list of conditions, so the developer never put a crosswalk there. But as the years progress, as populations increase and transportation needs change, talk to me about how I can better address my constituents and what we have the authority to do on the RTC board, or what's the process for us to handle things that have already been developed but have shown an increasing amount of concern for the residents, particularly about school zones, because we're not school district trustees. We weren't necessarily around when these developments were approved. So talk to me about that.
Sure, yeah. I think this neighborhood network planning process is the perfect venue and kind of avenue for the implementation of new crosswalks and traffic calming to really enhance those school zones. You know, the Sun Valley Elementary School area is kind of lacking a bit in, you know, crosswalks and stop signs and all sorts of quick fixes that we can address with these neighborhood network plans, and we're looking to do so. We also have a Safe Routes to School group that is really tasked with exactly that, improving walkability and bikeability and getting the word out to students and parents on how to get to school safely. So I'd recommend definitely working with them. They, I know, work with the school each individual school on like speed feedback signs and things like school zone flashers. So I know they're very involved in that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. And I know you advocate for your district so well. And I'm shocked there's not more called out on Highland Ranch Parkway, because we also get a lot of complaints, and I don't see any corrections on that. So did people not bring it up to you?
We definitely heard about Highland Ranch.
Okay.
We do have a lot of verbal comments that we hear
Okay.
that don't get translated to the online map, but we definitely have them
Okay.
on record. But we did get comments on.
You'll
on
add them, maybe?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the photo is of Highland Ranch. I was trying to look at it, but
Oh, yes, I know this. Yeah. And I'm wondering, on your steering committee, is that the ATAC? Or no, that's different?
The attack is regional, and then we have our neighborhood steering committee.
Okay.
Which isn't as cool.
I love transportation because we love our acronyms around here. But I don't see, did you have Washoe on there? I'm looking at this picture. I'm like, who on Washoe participated? Could you just tell us?
We did. I think Michonne.
Michonne?
Yeah, she was.
Okay.
She's involved.
Great.
And then also Miriam.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's great. Online, does either mayor of Reno or Sparks, do you have any comments?
Hi, no, thank you. I'm glad you brought up adding those comments, because I hear it all the time, so I'm glad that those will be included.
Great. Thank you. I'm just very excited about the work that you're doing to improve ways for people to walk in their neighborhoods, because we want to get them out of their cars. So thank you for that. And the one question I have is $5 million enough for you to get these done a year?
I think it's a good starting place.
Mhm.
And, you know, it's an evolving program. And so I think we're learning a lot, especially in the design process of Central Reno and Central Sparks, about what the costs are, what the real world costs are, you know, from planning level to engineering level. So to be determined.
Yeah, as we attack Central Reno and Central Sparks, I guess we'll figure that out. Okay, great. And Mr. Vice Chair, didn't you have another comment?
I do, Madam Chair, and I so apologize. I want to go back to one of the slides, and it has to do with the map of the Panther Valley and Sun Valley, and then the Meadowood and Hidden Valley. And so I don't know if it's not up behind me, but I wanted to just pass along something for my council colleague, Vice Mayor Martinez, who represents large parts of this area. And he has been and working with, I think, RTC to make sure you are aware that the folks in his neighborhoods are very much wanting to know more about sound walls along transportation corridors and routes in Ward 3. And so I don't know if any of that was reflected in any of your outreach, meaning you said people talk a lot about lighting, but were they also talking about sound walls? Because the area around Donner Springs is pretty indicative of the sound walls with some bike paths and some various other things. Are those intended to be expanded? And I think, I don't know if someone else would answer the question for me too, but that is part of my concern, is that those be included in the process, and when you start doing the transportation planning around it, that those be included.
Sure. Yeah, I think what I will say is we did hear that comment on along McCarran, McCarran and Neal. There's those condos to the north, and there's a lot of fast moving traffic there. So we definitely heard the comments about sound walls. To be strategic with our resources, I think with those and with a lot of comments that we heard at these public meetings, we're recording them and we're distributing them to the right folks internally. But we likely won't be able to address them with this effort, but it doesn't mean that they're not being recorded.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Is that federal grants, the sound walls, typically?
Typically, a sound wall would be an analysis with a federal project, and not one we do locally.
Okay.
It obviously adds additional cost. One of the big challenges in this program, I'll just share with the board, is that the quick build method is not one that people are used to. And so there's a lot of learning going on right now about trying to achieve our goals in this program and matching it with our resources. So the tug really is between like the big fix things that people have wanted for many years and trying to get a network built. Because as you know, when you do the big fix ones, the $5-10 million projects, they can take many, many years to create a network. So we would like to share with the board as we evolve. We will be talking to you to let you know kind of what we're experiencing. It's hard right now to give you a clear indication on how much should really be put in. We want to get a few of these neighborhood plans done to see, what are the expectations and what are the resources. So we have an eye on that, the long-term big projects and the quick builds. And hopefully within the next year or so, we'll have enough of these plans in action that we can give you a read on, is it working? What do we need to change?
This project is located on State Route 443 between Scottsdale Road and 7th Avenue. And as Mrs. Sober mentioned earlier, this corridor definitely experiences a lot of deficiencies. So deficiencies in the storm drain infrastructure, flooding of the roadway is aging. There are a significant lack of multimodal facilities. And this project is going to address those deficiencies along with some safety concerns, mobility concerns, and then really overall improve the resiliency of the roadway. Some of our planned improvements include some major stormwater drainage upgrades, enhanced transit facilities. One, I know Mrs. Sober also mentioned, it's a very high transit corridor. What's really cool is this Route 5 is actually the highest ridership for our youth. So for the Washoe County School District, 17% of the students who ride that route in Sun Valley. And Route 15, that's another 5%. So almost a quarter of the students who ride are along this corridor. So definitely a need to improve those transit facilities. And then we're also committing to adding multi-use paths, separated multi-use paths throughout the entire corridor. Nichols Consulting Engineering, or NCE, is continuing through preliminary design and the environmental phase of the project. We'll be wrapping up 60% design next month. And just for reference, this corridor, as mentioned, is an NDOT maintained corridor. Some of the project does extend into Washoe County right of way along some of the side streets. And in 2018, this project and its improvements were included in the interlocal agreement between RTC and Washoe County. So the fun question, how much is this project going to cost? So right now, our 30% design estimate for the project is sitting right around $87 million. That's all in, including design, environmental, construction, and then construction engineering, again, at a 30% design level. That is composed of $33 million in NDOT flex funds, which is what is the subject of today's agreement, right? And then $26.5 million in RTC local fuel tax. 19.5 million of that is for construction, and the other $7 million is for design, environmental, and right-of-way. We also have $2.5 million that we were awarded in federal earmarks. So those will need to be expended by the end of fiscal year 27. And we have that gap that was mentioned, that $25 million gap. We are actively pursuing the build grant and actually have a meeting right after the board meeting today to submit that. So it's all ready to go. And hopefully we're successful in getting that $25 million. Something I do want to mention is this critical condition of the agreement. So we need to identify and be successful in getting this federal discretionary funding by August 1st, 2027. If it is not secured by that date, we do need to, well, the agreement could be subject to termination, or what we would likely do is through mutual agreement with the NDOT, revise that agreement to adjust some of the scope, maybe the schedule, and other funding sources that could be contributed to this agreement. This agreement formalizes, as Dale mentioned, this formal partnership between NDOT and RTC, and it has gotten off to a great start. They also recognize this is an area in our community that is of great need. And under this agreement, RTC will be administering the entire project through design, right-of-way, and construction. NDOT will be providing that the consistent oversight for federal requirements. And then also, as I mentioned, they'll be contributing $33 million in federal flex funds towards construction of the project. Another key element of the project is that it establishes the framework for relinquishing the roadway or transferring the roadway ownership from NDOT to Washoe County. And that relinquishment will happen through a separate resolution under 408-527. So the terms of that will be handled under a separate one, but this kind of lays the framework for that. Transfer of that must be mutually agreed upon between NDOT and Washoe County before NDOT will obligate the $33 million in funds. So RTC will be an active partner in ensuring that relinquishment agreement, that process continues between the county and NDOT. It's already begun, so we'll continue to monitor that and make sure it's moving forward. Schedule. As I mentioned, we're nearing our 60% design deliverable. And then upon securing this grant funding, because we will be successful, we can, and through executing this agreement, we can plan on obligating funds in fiscal year 27, so next year, and hopefully starting construction no later than early 28, maybe even late 27. And this schedule also aligns with our fiscal year 27 goal to identify a funding strategy for construction of the Sun Valley Boulevard Corridor Improvements Project. I snuck this one in last night. I did want to do a quick little shout out. We do have a public meeting for this project on March 11th. The online meeting opens next week. You can go out to sunvalleyboulevardimprovements.com for more information. We will also be holding an in-person public meeting from 4 to 7 at Hug High. So this is another avenue in how we're getting comments from the community as well as our neighborhood network plan. So we'll be sure to coordinate with our planning partners to make sure any of those comments that they heard along Sun Valley Boulevard, that we're hearing them and addressing them accordingly. So staff recommends that the board receive this presentation and approve the interlocal cooperative agreement with the Nevada Department of Transportation. Approval of this agreement positions the RTC to obligate federal funds, advance the project toward construction, and deliver these critical safety, drainage, and multimodal improvements to this very deserving community. So thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, Ms. Calgary, I just want to commend you for your work on this. Thank you so much. I can tell that you are putting a lot of energy towards making this happen. I want to make sure that Commissioner Garcia speaks first because she has worked her whole time as a county commissioner and on the RTC board on this project. But just really quick question on the funding. Do you need the $25 million in hand by August 1st, or when do you need the cash? I'm just curious.
So where that time frame came from is to align with our congressional designated spending and that expiring. So that will have to be kind of a business decision. I think at that point, the goal would be to have that $25 million by that time.
In the bank.
In the bank, so we can obligate it. So we'd need a grant agreement executed by that time to obligate the funds towards the project to meet the current schedule.
And when will we know about the grant that you're applying for?
Hopefully by May, June timeframe.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
Of this year.
Thank you. Yeah, of this year. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Garcia.
Thank you. This is obviously an exciting day for me, but I wanted to take a moment to kind of address the why. Why is $87 million even on the table? Why are we talking about this? And to paint a little bit of historical context for those of you who may have never even driven to Sun Valley, there's some interesting history that maybe my colleagues don't even know. And it goes back to the Small Tract Act, and that was enacted in 1938. And this is long before modern zoning and utilities were in place. And so what basically was born is a unplanned community. Today we have, as you heard, over 20,000 residents. It's a growing, thriving, beautiful community, but we are 88 years in of a lack of infrastructure, almost a century where we have gone without these basic needs and basic services. So drainage, you heard, roadways, lighting, pedestrian access, all of those things are things that I hear about on the regular. I did a little research. I think Route 443 wasn't established until 1976. So we've had 50 years of working with NDOT. And in my opinion, I think it's time. I think it's long overdue that we make this investment, that we partner. And I just wanted to say thank you to NDOT. They started receiving phone calls from me after I got elected, and basically just calling anybody who would pick up the phone and emailing anybody. And I can tell you, I was so impressed by their accessibility, their willingness to meet with me and hear the concerns. I don't think Sun Valley Boulevard had really been on your radar very much prior to that, but I can tell you that they were very responsive and immediately started working with Manager Thomas and at the time Manager Brown to talk about what needed to happen in terms of improvements, and then the ultimate goal of transferring that little 3-mile section over to Washoe County for further management down the road. So I'm just really grateful that this has gone. I appreciate my colleagues for being so understanding that this is a little forgotten area of Washoe County, as Ms. Soper said, and hope to change that part of our history so that we can provide that necessary drainage. And the drainage is what's causing this price tag to go up so much, but it's such a critical point. We can't put a beautiful new road without addressing those critical drainage issues. So thank you for the time. No questions, just really pleased.
But I would argue under your leadership, Commissioner Garcia, it has not been forgotten. You have been an incredible advocate for your community and your constituents. So thank you so much for your work. Vice Chair?
Yes, I'll be brief, Madam Chair. I want to say thank you for the presentation. I do think that one of the things that we've focused here on at RTC in the last several years is these collaborative partnerships between us, the state, who has been very gracious, and the federal government. So this is a good example of that. We're all trying to stretch every dollar the farthest we can. And when we add dollars to the mix, it means the project can actually go. So I'm grateful for that. To Commissioner Garcia, I think part of the thing about your leadership on this issue is that you have every day fought for it and made it a priority of your time in office. Each of us has a short time in office, and so the kind of mark that we can leave is really directed by that effort that we put into it. And I think you have proven that when you're not at the table, you're on the menu, right? And so for a community that has felt the pains of being overlooked.
We're at 6.3. We're going to receive a report on the results of a market study on electric and hybrid vehicle fees from Michael Hillerby and provide direction, authorize the executive director to present the report to the Washoe County Board of County Commissioners, and request an advisory ballot question to be placed on the November 26th ballot. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Michael Hillerby with Kemper Kroll. Pleased to be with you today. Also have with me Mr. Scott Gillis. We brought Scott and his partner Matt Griffin on, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment to help. With your direction to staff to look at local solutions to road funding challenges, and particularly those that make sure we're maintain some control over our destiny, and that those funds that generated from Washoe County residents stay here and are spent in a transparent and accountable manner, which is what this board does. This is what you have in front of you. The staff report has more details. What we're recommending ultimately is many very popular things to identify as problematic areas. And interestingly, by 4-1, 78% of voters identified a great need for additional transportation funding, 50% at great, 28% at some need. So again, this is that kind of rare situation where the needs are identified, and the support for the solution are both quite strong. Here's really the crux of the survey and the outreach to the community and the question at hand. 6 in 10 voters approve the idea of a fee on electric and hybrid vehicles. The question that was included in the ballot, and I'll give you a moment to read that, and I know it's in your staff report, it would be very similar to the advisory question would appear in the ballot, but it's not going to be the final language for a couple of reasons. One, we wanted to come up with a question that, while sort of met the legal requirements for the ballot question, was functional and worked for the purposes of a survey and was clear, concise, and accurate. But we will ultimately work, depending on the guidance you give us today, with the district attorney's office and with Washoe County to develop the final language for that question that would go in front of voters. The key piece here is we asked voters if they supported a fee of $250, explain what the use was of not more than $250. And I'll take just a moment to talk about where that number came from. In the NDOT working group, identified the sort of EMPG equivalent, and that number was 41 miles a gallon. If you translated the average fuel efficiency of the electric vehicle fleet at that time to miles per gallon, the average is 41. You back that into the local portion of the gas tax adjusted for today's dollars, and that's $250. So that's the recommendation. We'll come back in a little bit to specifics on the hybrid vehicle fee and what that would be set at. So supporters were asked in their own words to give us reasons why they would either support or oppose the question. Overwhelmingly, supporters cite the need to invest in local infrastructure and requiring EV owners to contribute or pay their fair share. Again, equity and parity is sort of the point of all this, and voters identified that on their own. Opponents, as you know from these, will always be a certain percentage that just are opposed to any taxes or fees for any purpose, concerned about how government spends money, and questions about whether this unfairly punishes EV owners and might it deter future purchases. We thought, given all of that, it was very important, because the survey was essentially asking, going back to the original statistic of about 5% of the fleet as of 2024, it's gone up a bit since, is electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles. You're really asking voters, do you support taxing someone else? That's pretty easy to do. So we wanted to ask the harder question, which is, do you own an EV or hybrid, or are you planning to own? For those in the top part of that graph that do own EV or hybrid, 58% still understood the need and supported the fee. For those likely, it's 61%. So we thought that was a very important question to ask, to be honest, and get the information that we need to make decisions. We also decided it was probably important to test different fees. While $250 is the one that is pegged to sort of parity or equity, as we mentioned before, we did ask about $200 and $150. I'm somewhat surprised at the $250 still had the highest level of support, which is interesting. Again, I think voters very clearly understood the issue of parity and equity. So that's important. So we asked respondents, split the survey in half. Half were asked if you support a portion of that $250 for hybrid. Half were asked if you support half the fee, or $125, which is our recommendation for ease of collection. Again, with the annual registration fee being not only the best, but really the only workable at this point collection mechanism, it makes sense to set that at half. It's harder to fine tune that. So it's essentially almost the same numbers there at 61 and 63% in favor. We also were certain to ask the question about indexing that, because as you all know, over the last decade and a half, that fuel revenue indexing has been critical to Washoe County. Again, being able to be sure that money that was originated here stays here, and we control our own destiny through the work that you do. So again, almost the same percentage that support the fee support the fuel revenue or the indexing of that fee, so it would continue to keep pace with inflation, at least for that portion of the funding. We also asked voters to identify just key issues, and they were given a variety of those. Overwhelmingly at the top was requiring public disclosure of all spending. Clearly, just listening to the last couple of staff reports, the kinds of outreach that you do, the kinds of transparency and accountability that this board and the organization has done with the decade and a half or a plus of the fuel revenue indexing, we think RTC is the right group to deliver this, and an important messenger for that question as well. like most surveys, you want to give people some more information. The initial question was asked very early in the survey at 61%, gave voters sample arguments in favor, sample arguments against. Interestingly, even after hearing both, you saw it go up to 64 after hearing the positives, but still stayed at 62% approval after hearing both for and against. And at this point, I will turn it back to Executive Director Thomas, and Mr. Gillis and I are here to answer any questions you might have and participate in the discussion in any way you find helpful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Go ahead, Mr. Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Board. So this has been obviously an effort we've been tracking for many years at your direction. We've spent quite a bit of time at the state level with the legislative committees trying to assess and hopefully push forward some solution here. Where we're at right now is really a decision point on what to do with this information. And so my recommendation is that you authorize me to go to the Board of County Commissioners, present this information, and ask them. I guess I would describe it this way. We've got a poll of what people said. The only way to really find out if we captured what they said properly is for them to vote, right? That's the tool by which we best know what people's sentiment is. We entered this knowing full well that if this was really a split decision, likely we would have recommended to you that we not advance. But given not only the expertise of the team members we brought on that have done these before, but also the urgency of dealing with this issue, we feel very comfortable as your staff about the wisdom of bringing this forward to ultimately the legislature. And so that next step would be for you to ask us to present this to the Board of County Commissioners and ask them to prepare a ballot for the upcoming election to address what you've heard here, the need for this fee.
Great. Thank you so much. Just one quick comment, and I'll throw it over to my board members. But on the 6 and 10 that vote yes to approve the advisory measure slide, you had put the question on there, and I know it's not the final question. I think it's really important, and maybe we can't put this in the question, but we'll find out from the DA that we add the language currently EV and hybrid users pay nothing. And I know that we can put that language in the description of your voter guide, but I don't know. I think it'd be helpful to remind people they're not paying anything, because when people know that, that's important information for people to know. And we found all too well and terribly that if we do not write this well, we will not do well from our library question, sadly. So I don't know if you can make a comment about that, but I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Chair Hill, Scott Gillis for the record, happy to comment on that. One of the reasons we were brought onto this effort by RC4 was experience with initiative petitions and ballot questions that we've helped other local jurisdictions with, particularly in Southern Nevada, in terms of the mechanics, question language, supporting materials, et cetera. To your specific point, I don't believe off the top of my head that would be prohibited from being incorporated into that question, into the ballot question. Your attorneys obviously will have the final say on that, but we've done a lot of work in this area, and I don't see that as something that would be prohibited from being incorporated into the question. Ultimately, you want to analyze those questions from a perspective of, are they clear to the voter? In a lot of cases, seeing it for the first time when they go to vote. As we know, a lot of voters do not dig into the sample ballots and all the explanations related to, as much as we would like to see, since we spent a lot of time on that stuff, right? But I think we can certainly have those conversations and try to work that in a way that's clear to the voter, because I think it's an excellent point to make to somebody seeing it, particularly somebody seeing it for the first time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Vice Chair.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Let me maybe start at the beginning. Mr. Hillerby and Mr. Gillis, thank you so much for being here. I wanted to just take a minute with the chair's indulgence. I know that Matt could not be here today, but I wanted to say just my condolences to Matt and Josh. Certainly, Reno Mayor Jeff Griffin passed away just a few weeks ago, and you mentioned Matt's name. So I just thought it was appropriate to say, I know that Mayor Griffin was incredibly transformative in the ReTrack project, and I don't actually know if he served at RTC. It makes sense that he might have, but ReTrack is certainly a transportation project. So please, from our board to the Griffin family, please extend our sincere condolences.
Will do. Thank you.
Of course. As to this particular project, let me just say thank you for the in-depth analysis. Certainly, this is something that our board has been grappling with now for a couple of years, trying to just figure out what is the solution. I thought the Gwynn Center's analysis really gave us a starting point, a jumping off point for the greater work that's been done then by the outside consultant. At the end of the day, I absolutely believe that something of this nature should go to the voters, and I'm glad to see that it looks like it would overwhelmingly be passed. I don't want to count chickens before they hatch, but Ms. Chair Hill is absolutely right that how we launch it and how it gets written, all those things are critical, and that's of course where Mr. Hillerby and Mr. Gillis, you both come in, right? And so you'll have certainly this board's support for moving forward. I absolutely believe it's a necessary component of a fair and equitable system for every user of our roadway transportation infrastructure system. And so absolutely supportive and appreciate that really excellent work that's gone in to just get us to this point. I suppose, as you said, if it had gone differently, Mr. Thomas, if the votes stacked up the other way, maybe we wouldn't invest the effort or the political capital to do it. But it's clear that across all sorts of demographics and users and non-users, it's very routinely supported. I myself have an EV vehicle. I have one traditional vehicle as well, and so understand that it makes no difference to me whether I have to pay for the ability to use our good roads, right? What people want is to have roads that are good and pothole-free and all that sort of thing. So we've got to pay our fair share. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Commissioner Garcia.
I'm very supportive of bringing this advisory ballot question to the commission. I am looking forward to see how that meeting goes. So good luck, Manager Thomas. But in my briefing with you all, it was very clear that the thoroughness and the exceptional methodology that you took to conduct this survey was impressive. I just wanted to ask you, in all of the work that you've done, you've done taken these little litmus tests for a variety of topics. When you look at that 61% initial vote going to 64% after the positives were presented, and then dropping down to 62 after the negatives were presented, so 61 to 64%. How has that fared in comparison to some of the other work that you've done statewide? Would you consider that a good outcome, positive outcome? Talk to me about that.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Yeah, we look at that as out of the gate with virtually no public education, broad public education on the issue, particularly when you're asking members of respondents to a survey about paying a fee, whether it's their fee or somebody else's fee to pay. Anytime you can initially get over that 60% threshold, you are in a very good place. What was made clear from this poll was that the respondents, as a sample of voters in Washoe County, understand the need for funding first and foremost, but also that they understand the parity equity issue related to electric vehicles and the gas tax fees that the county is not collecting from them as drivers of EVs. So those are great starting points. The rest of the data tells us that there is room for education and bumping that number up. That's probably in the form of resources that come not from this board or the county because of ethics rules related to opposing or supporting ballot questions, which are in place and have always been in place. But it suggests to us that resources towards a support campaign, a education campaign will go a long way for this effort to get us to not only a passage of the advisory question, but a large number of people supporting it. So to help further that conversation with the legislature that following spring.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Sheevy or Mayor Lawson? Okay. With that, I am happy to do the motion. I will authorize the executive director to present the report to the Washoe County Board of County Commissioners and request an advisory ballot question to be placed on the November 26th ballot. Looking for a second.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia.
Second.
Yes.
Can I just a discussion really quick? Sorry.
course.
I for some reason I couldn't get you off mute. Well, thank you, Mr. Hillerby. I think that was a fantastic presentation. And hello to Mr. Gillis. He comes from obviously my side of the house. And then Mr. Griffin, thank you guys so much. I know these are always heavy lift initiatives, and you really have to do a lot of work to get everyone sort of cohesive. But I think it's you've done a great job, and it's really, really worthwhile. Obviously, we're going into the new age of everything, and so, sometimes it's change is actually very good. And so I know it's not going to be easy, but I want to say thank you because, we've worked on initiatives together, and they take a lot of work, a lot. So I guess my question is, what's the next step exactly?
Great question.
And how can we also help you guys? Obviously, our jurisdictions.
Thank you, Mayor Sheevy. Michael Hillerby. The next step, we will work with, based on the motion and the vote that just occurred, work with Executive Director Thomas and staff to now work with the Washoe County staff and District Attorney's Office to work on the actual ballot language itself. That will go in front of the County Commission that date will be determined by the chair and staff probably in April or May. That has to, by law, be in front of the county clerk by, I believe it's July 20th, to be placed on the ballot. So those are the immediate steps. Longer term, and I think just hit on briefly, this would then inform an actual piece of legislation that would go to the legislature and start that process to hopefully get them to pass enabling legislation to enable the county to enact the fee.
And Mayor Sheevy.
Got it.
I think that's a great question because we at our jurisdictions can support that initiative at the legislature. And I think if, your board is quote unquote on board.
Joint resolution.
Yeah, let's use our resources to support this because this will help us maintain our roads, which we do not have the money for in our jurisdictions right now. So that's great.
Well, and I appreciate your passion because I know that this has meant a lot too for, so thank you under your leadership. But great job. I just wanted to make sure how can we help and I missed the county commission part, so I appreciate the clarity. You might have said that. I just missed it. I just thought we were going directly to the ledge. But thanks so much. And I'm sorry I'm missing you guys today.
I know.
It's a bummer. I always like to harass Scott and check in on him. So as you know, he served at the city of Reno for a long time. So, and also I'm glad that Devin mentioned Mayor Griffin. He really was a change maker, and I don't think people realize how hard he worked, on some of the biggest initiatives that have shaped our city forever. So thank you so much.
Yes, just like our current mayor. So thank you. We have a motion. We have a second. Any questions on that from the board? Seeing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay.
Aye.
Okay, that motion passes unanimously. Let's go to the county commission. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
Good job.
Yes, so exciting. All right, we'll now move into our report section of the agenda. 7.1, this is a verbal update from the RTC Executive Director, Bill Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I wanted to start with informing the board of a action we've taken as a result of the last board meeting where you gave us direction related to the Northeast Connector. We've extended the deadline for public comment through March. And we're also planning another public meeting on March 10th at Mendive Middle School. And additionally, a meeting with the employees and the companies out in the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center that same day. So we're going to have a very busy day on March 10th listening to people that work in the Tri-Center as well as people that live in and around the area where the proposed alignment could impact them.
Could we make sure that our legislative delegation is invited to that, please?
Do that.
Thank you so much, and that potentially representatives from the state or the governor's office as well, because I think it would be important if they were engaging in the public process. Thank you.
So noted. So I'd like to announce something I'm very proud of is RTC is the winner of the APTA AdWheel Award again this year. We're taking home the prize in the non-ridership social media category for our Spanish language campaign, CRTC. This is the second year in a row that we've won an AdWheel Award. Our EdPass campaign was the program that won it last year. I'd like to thank our public transportation and our comms team, as well as the consultant Celtis Ventures for their hard work on these campaigns. Not only are they award-winning, but I think, I don't know what, Jim, what month are we at for month-over-month ridership growth?
42.
42 months. So it's an amazing statistic to see that every month we're getting more and more riders. I want to also, just to let you know that Josh McEachran will be accepting the award at next week's APTA MCX workshop in Savannah, Georgia. So,
Well, let's applaud the team. Yeah, congratulations. That's great.
continue with the transit, covering transit, we continue to make progress on the updating of the TOPS plan. As part of that effort, we've launched a Move More survey to gather public input on how we can improve service recommendations. The survey is available on our website and will remain open through March 20th, 2026. We anticipate bringing the final plan to the board for consideration and adoption in May. And I will note that comments like the ones you heard today will obviously be incorporated into the consideration for bringing ideas and thoughts to the way we change service to the board for ultimate decision. March 18th is Transit Driver Appreciation Day. We're excited to join Keolis and MTM to recognize the important work that the drivers of our transit system do for our community. Keolis and MTM will provide lunch for their drivers to show their appreciation, and we'll make sure that the board is invited to those lunch acknowledgements for the drivers. Our Stuff a Bus program for children in care was successful once again. RTC partnered with Washoe County Human Services, KOLO-TV, and Target to collect winter clothing donations for foster and adoptive children. This year, we collected $7,000 worth of donations. We're also working on a partnership with Baby Bounty to hold a Stuff a Bus event in the coming months to collect diapers for families who could use a little extra help. To advise the board and the community, RTC will provide free transit on all services for St. Patrick's Day, March 17th. This free service will run 4 o'clock in the afternoon to 2 o'clock in the morning. This is something we do every year to give our residents a safe option to get from place to place, especially if they are drinking on this holiday that often results in drinking. We'll also provide free transit on the Virginia line on March 7th to celebrate the 5th anniversary of the BRT extension to the University of Nevada. A transformative, I believe, effort by RTC and the city of Reno and Washoe County and the city of Sparks to really support those bus rapid transit routes. Moving on to RTC personnel, I want to congratulate Nancy Muse on her RTC anniversary. I don't know if Nancy's here today. I don't see her. Nancy started working here 20 years ago today, actually. She's a valuable member of the communications team doing incredible work as one of our senior graphic designers. You may actually see some of her work in the hallway too as you walk out of this building. So very skilled and very talented person we're glad to have on the team, and I want to thank her for all her hard work over the last 20 years. So I want to close with a little bit of bittersweet news. So last month we celebrated 20 years at RTC for Susie Trinidad. Unfortunately for us, but good for Susie, she's going to be retiring in March. Susie started working with us in 2006, has done an amazing job, as the board knows, as our mobility services manager. She does a lot of work with seniors and customers with disabilities, and we all know anybody who has an issue in that space, we know who the go-to person is. And I can assure all of you that in every case, the response that Susie gave to the person, the attention, has resulted in a positive outcome. So I'm very proud of her work. She oversees a lot of important programs like Access, Flex Ride, and the Senior Ride Taxi Bucks. Her innovation and dedication to work with our customers is tremendous. And in fact, she actually, during the pandemic, I think, started our Uber and Lyft service to really supplement the challenges we were having during that critical time in terms of people coming to work and the ability to provide their service. So I want to sincerely thank Susie for all her work and congratulate her on a well-deserved retirement. So,
Oh my gosh, amazing. Who are we training up? I'm so worried. I mean, truly, such an essential staff person for RTC. Do you have plans? What are we looking at here?
I don't have an answer. I know Jim's working very diligently. It's those are big shoes to fill. So I think we have some pretty good candidates that we've narrowed it down to, and as soon as we have someone, we'll be sharing that with the board. So,
And will there be overlap, hopefully, with, no?
it's going to be tight. We'll
Oh,
all look
no.
at Susie and see, maybe,
Oh, no. Well, Susie, I mean, every issue that comes to us as commissioners, we are able to resolve with you. I have never just worked with such a dedicated person to our community. So thank you so much for all the work that you've done for our community. I'm so sad that you're going to be moving on, but I'm so happy for you as well. That's amazing. Do any other board members have comments for Susie? Okay. Come on up.
For the record, Susie Trinidad, Willie Services Manager for RTC, soon to be retired.
Yes.
And when I started with RTC, I didn't see a lot options for senior community and people with disabilities. So I really work hard coordinating with our RTC executive directors, my directors, and to the board members. And I really like what I see right now, but my wish is to continue that services and improve more and then give more options to that community. So yeah, but I'll be around.
Absolutely. Thank you for your advocacy. And we need staff who are passionate about serving the public like you are. So I'm just sad to see you leave, but I'm so excited that you get to spend some personal time after you've dedicated your life to RTC and our community. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay. Well, we will now move to 7.2, which is our monthly verbal update from Paul Nelson, our RTC Government Affairs Officer on federal matters.
Good morning, Paul Nelson, RTC Government Affairs Officer. So as you know, President Trump signed the THUD bill into law just a couple of weeks ago. And part of that bill did include our $6 million request for community project funding. That $6 million will be split up $2 million apiece for Reno, Sparks, and Washoe County. The projects that Reno will work on with that money is the Marsh Avenue and Sharon Way Road rehabilitation. Sparks will use it for Right Way, D Street, E Street, and F Street. And Washoe County will use the funding for improvements around Getford Park with some of their pavement and their pedestrian access. THUD does include $21.1 billion for FTA, and that is an increase over last year. And FHWA is funded at $62.7 billion. So now the only remaining appropriations bill that hasn't been passed right now is the Department of Homeland Security. We are submitting our application for the Build Grant, as Amanda mentioned, and we're hoping that we'll get that $25 million. But we're also keeping our eyes forward just in case we don't get this grant, or even if we do get it and another grant comes along that we think might benefit us more, like Protect, for instance. We will keep our eyes open for additional grants that we could possibly apply for. FTA Administrator Mark Molinaro's last day is today. That's because he's stepping away so that he can run for a New York State Assembly seat. That way he can spend more time with his family. Members of Congress have already started introducing marker bills for the Surface Transportation Reauthorization Bill, and we've been in communication with our federal delegation on some of our priorities. One of the things that the Trump administration has released a proposal on, it would actually bar free transit programs for cities with more than 200,000 residents and more than 100 buses. Luckily, we don't have more than 100 buses, so if this would pass, it wouldn't affect our EdPass program or our Youth Pass program. And we're not even certain if the T&I committee is even in favor of this proposal. With that, that concludes my report.
Thank you so much. Any questions? Not seeing any. We appreciate your work on that front, following all of the money. All right, we'll move to 7.3, which is a verbal update from NDOT. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. For the record, Sajid Solaria, Deputy Director, NDOT. I will provide a brief update on a few regionally significant projects, and I'm going to start off with Pyramid Way project. This is not Pyramid Highway, Pyramid Way. This spring, work will begin about 1.5 mile of Pyramid Way preservation projects in Sparks. Project will replace aging roadway surface from Nugget Avenue to York Way. This project will also enhance mobility by reconstructing sidewalks, driveway ramps, and installing pedestrian crossing signals at the intersections. This project is anticipated to be completed in spring of 2027. Moving on to other projects in the region, North Valley's project phase 1, our crews are still making progress before, I guess, this Monday, before the weather hit. As we all know, that changed. The weather was really nice up till Sunday. It felt like spring, so they were taking advantage of making good progress on that project. We still anticipate completing this current phase this summer. Also, in this summer of this year, we anticipate to begin the next phase of US 395 North Valley's improvement project. So one will be wrapping up, the other will be starting, and the new improvements will include, for the new phase, repaving and widening a freeway between Golden Valley and Stead Boulevard. Also include sound and retaining walls, ITS improvements, striping, landscape and drainage, and all of that. And so this summer, to look forward to a groundbreaking and a ribbon cutting event at the same time. So we're hoping to do so for one complete and one starting a project, well-needed project in North Valleys. Another significant project, this I-80 west of Reno. This is McCarran to Keystone project. Again, our update is that we remain on schedule to complete this construction by mid-2026. So this summer, we anticipated to complete that project as well. Now, talk about I-80 East project. Our board on the February 5th for Transportation Board meeting approved a pre-construction services for developing our preliminary design for that project to Granite Construction for almost $19 million. To be exact, it's $18.9 million. This contract will finalize the design-build agreement upon the price and pre-negotiation, what we need for pre-construction services. This is really the design phase of the project. They probably will take this year to design the project. We will have, hopefully later this year, a guaranteed maximum price. We will seek another board approval for construction of that project. And construction is expected to begin in late 2027. So again, this year, what is awarded is pre-construction. It's just the design services, and we will have another board approval for the construction services as we complete the design, along with our contractor. I also want to take a moment to just as the city and county maintenance crew members and highway maintenance workers, our highway maintenance workers out there right now throughout this whole week. We all witnessed that today as well when you're driving in. How clear the roads were. I want to take a moment again, extend my gratitude to all of our District 2 staff for their incredible dedication and hard work during this recent storms. Their unwavering commitment. Keeping us safe, and it's truly commendable despite the weather challenges that we are facing the last few days. Again, their efforts are truly appreciated by the entire community. Thank you, and that concludes my report.
Thank you so much. And I do want to add that we are so appreciative for you and your team's work, especially on McCarran. It's been just amazing to drive on that roadway, and I can just tell that the team really is digging in, and we just really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And also, we have District Engineer is in the audience if you'd like to say anything. Boo is there. He's his team and his all the troops are doing a great job. Thank you, Boo.
Yes, thank you. We appreciate you and your team. It's amazing keeping our people safe. Any questions? I don't see any. Okay, we're going to now move into item 8, commissioner announcements and updates. Do commissioners have any updates or announcements? Vice Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A couple of things. I wanted to respond to a comment that Commissioner Garcia had made earlier about the Yori project. I had asked some questions about it, so my staff was kind enough to be paying attention, listening. I want to share with you that the students at Libby Booth Elementary actually contributed to the mural's design, and then it was painted by a local artist named Nathaniel Benjamin, a graduate of the University of Nevada, Reno, who creates murals throughout the Great Basin Desert region, as a founding member of the Leica Press. That project was funded with approximately $12,000 from the city street fund, and costs covered the paint, supplies, and the artist fee. And so it was the first time that we'd done that at the city of Reno. It was really a partnership between us, the city, the school district, everybody working in coordination to bring more art to the community, but also a safety component. And then I wanted to invite everyone out. The city of Reno is holding the Western States Illuminated Art Festival the next 2 nights. I had the opportunity to go last night. It is spectacular. Please go and see it. It's downtown from 5 to 10 each night. Yes, it's a little cold, but the snow makes everything sparkle, and it is perhaps one of the most incredible festivals that I've gone to anywhere. It's like Burning Man sort of dropped in for the weekend. It's all lit up, and it is stunning, and it was quite crowded last night. I believe it'll be more crowded tonight. And of course, if you can get there using a bus, do that. It's a really cool, please do not miss it. You will regret it.
That's great. Thank you. Commissioner Garcia.
Thank you. I just wanted to piggyback on the previous comments about thanking our public works and our roads crews from all of the jurisdictions. I was texting Bill yesterday. I was like, I sure am glad we have covered bus stops on the Virginia line. I saw so many people huddled under those. And I know Keolis does a great job of digging out those bus stops that aren't covered. So thanks again to anybody who's listening. You've put in a lot of work this week, so I appreciate it.
Mayor Sheevy or Mayor Lawson, do y'all have anything? Okay. I just have a quick item. So being on the TUMA board, they are going through a analysis of their team and retirements and I don't know what that term is. Thank you. Succession planning. And I'm wondering if it would be helpful if maybe we looked at that process, because I'm just thinking of Ms. Trinidad, and I'm sure there's other folks who are going to be retiring. I just want to make sure that we've got some succession planning going on. I know we're such a smaller team than TUMWA, but I just thought that I'd pass on that piece of advice from just serving on that board and seeing the work that they're doing there. So thank you. All right. We will now move on to our final public comment. Madam Clerk.
Thank you. I'll call up Steve Burley.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. Again, Steve Burley, and of course I remember you, Vice Chair Reese, very well. You, Anthony Hall, and Dora Lane were the only reason I kept sanity in the first 10 years of my RTC tour. So thank you, and glad to see you on the board. Earlier, I pointed out the northbound Desert Vista. I mentioned that there were some yellow pin marks. Now, those represent the 7 pedestrian crossings on a 1/2 mile stretch of Desert Vista. My community is a heavy pedestrian, bicycle, dog walker, people with strollers, and there's unimproved dirt paths all around. So people do a loop through the Highlands community, and they cross the street numerous times. There's also a children's playground. What I'm here to show you now, back to context, is the actual vehicle speeds. And I know it's going to be hard to see, but if in the third column, you see the bolded numbers. They represent the vehicle speed. It's not the maximum speed. It's where the traffic radar caught northbound traffic. It's a 1 mile run and the traffic radar is about halfway up. Vehicles are still accelerating as they go up a gentle grade. There were 12 vehicles, 33%, that went 15 miles an hour over the posted 25 mile per hour. Top speed, I think, on this one was in the high 40s. The next one, Michelle, shows, 3,600 vehicles northbound, and I chose the first 36 vehicles of each month. Larger population, smaller sample, simple statistics. In this case, there are 14 vehicles going at least 15 miles an hour over the speed limit and accelerating. 2 vehicles doing 56 miles an hour in a roadway with people walking to the mailbox and with children and a lot of dog walkers. The last screenshot shows we're back to 12 vehicles, 33% doing at least 15 miles an hour over the speed limit. The reason this is, back to the context, important, one of my neighbors is a captain at Reno PD. We got a couple retired sergeants, CHP. We've all been asking Sparks PD periodically for more traffic cops. One time in 5 years, we had one motor cop sit outside my house. I know him, chatted with him. He wrote 2 tickets in 20 minutes and left to go work on Vista, which is a much more dangerous street. We don't have enough cops for traffic enforcement. If this road is built, you can see my community is right there in the top right. The drivers on the Northeast Connector will have a posted speed limit of 45. They'll obey that like people obey the posted 45 on Vista. In other words, they won't. And there's something in law enforcement called speed spillover or spillover traffic. Vehicles traveling at a higher rate tend to keep that rate when they get off of a higher moving roadway. So they're going to cut through my community, and including semis. I'm out of time. Thank you all very much.
You have a wrap up? Okay.
You guys get it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
And
for
thank
the
you all for your
analysis.
service, and especially thanks to Michelle Kraus. She did a lot of work to get this ready.
Yes, thank you. Any other public commenters, Madam Clerk?
No other public comment.
Okay. Well, with that, thank you all for a wonderful meeting, and we are adjourned at 11:07.